Shit. This is what I'm feeling like. Da, 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 da. Let me tell you what I'm feeling like. Da, 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 da. Yo, what up, though, people? Like to welcome you back to the Keep the C-Note podcast. As always, I am your boy Brown. We are back. This your first time tuning in. Salute to you. Please hit the sub button. Everybody, please hit the like button. Make sure you drop a comment if you got some feedback. We are back. First episode back. Shout out John and Vito. They will be back within the next couple of weeks. The Keep It a C-Note podcast is up and rolling again. First show of 2023. I'm going to keep it a C-Note. You know, after our 100th episode, we already was going on vacation. You know what I mean? Because we had put all that work in 100 episodes. Me over 100 episodes because I did 2 NFL seasons where I did the recap. So, you know, vacation hit and then, you know, real life stuff hit for me. I had some family details, then all that I had to attend to. But we are officially back. We got a lot going on. I just want to start it off with the funniest thing that I've seen lately. And shout out to Cameron. He got a new podcast called It Is What It Is. I seen the first episode, him and Mace. I got to keep it a C-Note. I laughed the whole episode. Those guys were hilarious. I don't know if Mace was just a special guest, how that's going to play out. But to keep it a C-Note, they killed that joint. So shout out to them. Shout out to Mace. My guy Mace. Mason Betha. M-A$E. I got to salute you, my brother, because you kept it a C-Note. A lot of people, like with your status, witness said what you said on camera. It was basically you said that Bronny James is a McDonald's All-American on the strength of his pop. Not that he's not good, but he shouldn't have made the team. I salute you for that. I don't think too many people, again, famous people, and they may be thinking that, but I don't think too many of them are going to say that. But I want to ask y'all, let's start the show off. Keep it a C-Note. Is Bronny James a McDonald's All-American on the strength of his pop? Is what Mace said no cap? Should we call him a Oouuber? We would have to get him some type of special deluxe Uber or something. Like, keep it a C-Note. What's your thoughts on it? I'm going to say no cap. You know I'm going to say no cap. Not saying that Bronny isn't going to be better, but right now you can look at his game and you could tell he not ball. And you know what that means. He not him yet. He not him yet. I'm not saying that he won't be him, but right now he's not him. You know what I mean? I couldn't even see him making noise on a major conference team. On a team in a major conference. I'm just keeping it a C-Note. I mean, you know, I've been surprised before, but, you know, what's your thoughts on it? Speaking of Bronny, he just finished his prep career, championship game versus Notre Dame. The wee hours of the morning before the game, LeBron tweeted, man, Bronny definitely better than some of these cats I've been watching on League Pass, meaning the NBA. It's lightweight hilarious. Now, I always tell Vito, I always tell John, everybody looks at things differently. But I'm like, there's a couple scenarios here. A, he could be just selling his son like a dad is supposed to, especially someone with his stature. B, he could be throwing shots at some of the younger cats in the NBA because, as you can see, a lot of them ain't scared of Bron no more. They be really trying to go at him. Or C, it could possibly be a combination of both. D, it could be something else. But, I mean, keep it a C-Note. First of all, what's your thoughts on it? is Bronny James better than a 12th, 13th man right now on the NBA roster? Yes or no? Keep it a C note. And what's your thoughts? Is Bron selling his son? Is he throwing shots at kids in the NBA? Is it a little bit of both? Or is none of the above? Keep it a C note. I'm going to say C, it's a little bit of both because I know he's throwing shots at the younger generation. And I know, on another note, like a dad should, he's trying to push his son. You know, that's free endorsement for his son. You know, colleges is going to look at that like, you know, we're going to be packed just on the strength that that's Bron's son. But here's the thing. Bron is the biggest player in the planet right now, in the world, on the planet. I mean, he might not be the best player in the league right now, but he's the biggest player on the planet. We can agree with that, right? You know, so if you gotta sway your vote for your son. But here's the thing. You can't put pressure on him. Championship game against Notre Dame, right? They had already lost to Notre Dame 3 times in the season. They come out after this tweet that Bron put up. They get smoked 80-61 in the championship game. So Bron just tweeted that Bronny finished with 10 points. Yikes. Bron, you can't be the biggest player on the planet putting that pressure on your son if he not him. He was supposed to respond. Not only did Bronny finish with 10, not only did they get blown out, but the kid Caleb Foster is going to Duke, 28 points. Mercy Miller, Master P's son, 18 points. Yikes. Your son ain't even as good as them guys in school, so you got to be saying that they're better than NBA players too, right? Keep it a C note. Or should we call Bron a Oouuber? You know, they got money, so they need special type Ubers. Do Oouuber do jets? And we looking at that, do Oouuber do jets? We might got to put some money up, you know, start a GoFundMe and get Bron a Oouuber on a jet. You know, keep it a C note. Let me know. Next up has been trending lately. It's been a funny thing that I've seen. Kendrick Perkins, J.J. Redick on First Take, going back and forth. Check it out.
We judge MVP year to year. You also said the criteria or the goalposts change year to year for certain players. No, it doesn't. We vote on the MVP. Hold on. We vote on the MVP based on that season. We vote on the MVP based on that season. It is a regular season award. Previous playoff runs have nothing to do with it. It's a regular season award for the most valuable player. And we can measure that, Perk. So maybe voters have gotten smarter. I want to talk about Dirk and Nash real quick, and I'll let you jump in. Dirk Nowitzki led the league in win shares in both 06 and 07. Led the league in offensive win shares in both 06 and 07. So, yeah, he wasn't top 5 or whatever he was, top 10 in scoring his MVP season. The Dallas Mavericks were 67-15. They had the best record in the NBA. In 05, Steve Nash was the driver of the number 1 offense in the league, a team that jumped 20 wins and had the best record in the NBA. Okay. In 06 to me is one of the weirdest MVP seasons ever. You could make an argument Nash probably shouldn't have won it, but he was still the driver of the number 1 offense in the league. The 2 best teams that year, the Detroit Pistons, 64 wins, the San Antonio Spurs, 63 wins. Guess what? They didn't have a top, their top scorers weren't in the top 20 in the NBA that year. So that was just a strange season. You could have given it to Kobe. You could have given it to Shaq. You could have given it to Tim Duncan. They gave it to Steve Nash. It's not because he was white.
It was just a strange thing. It was just a strange.
But why did you cut it off at 1990 though? Because that was convenient. That was convenient.
I'm just saying. Hold on, time out. It was just a strange thing that it just happened. It was just a strange thing. In 2006, when Kobe averaged 31, when he was playing with Kwame Brown and Smush Parker,
and what
it
was the
just
record
a
that year?
strange
42 and
thing.
40. They were 42 and 40.
So
let him speak.
But he's the most valuable
they made the
player.
playoffs. They made the playoffs with that roster. You take Kobe off that team, they probably win 8 games. Okay, so let's make that very, very clear. Now, since you want to talk about when I was saying and preaching about moving the goalposts, the reason I asked that question was for the simple fact that what I'm saying is I don't know the criteria no more. I don't know if it's because it's the number 1 seed. I don't know if it's the number 6 seed. I don't know how you judging it. Is we judging off of advanced stats or who's the most valuable player? You take them off this team. We don't know. We don't know, but we do know this. Since you do want to bring it up, we do know this, that when it comes to MVP voting, 80% of the voters are white American. 20% are others. I know that stat. If you want to talk about advanced stat, I do know that one. Now let's talk about this year. And let's talk about the stat pattern. What I said was, I'm never taking anything from when it comes down to Jokic being one of the most skilled big, if not the most skilled big to ever play the game. I'm not taking away nothing from what his IQ is and his level of play and how he's able to make others around him better. But I will give a lot of credit to the front office for surrounding him with the pieces that fit around him.
I just want to know, what's your thoughts on it? First of all, do you think guys be stat chasing? I say, yeah, everybody stat chases. You know what I mean? If a dude know I need 12 assists to break this record, he's going out there trying to get them 12 assists. Even if he's pulling a Ben Simmons with the easy layup. Nope, I want the assist. You know what I mean? We see what Giannis did, right? Russell Westbrook, when he averaged the triple-double, they said he was stat chasing. I don't know how. You know, I just think Nikola Jokic is playing his system, you know. It's an international system, basically. I'm keeping it a C note. As far as a race thing, I think that's where they try to confuse things, because I always tell John, I always say to Vito, it's not a black and white thing. They're going to try to make it look like it's a black and white thing. It's an international player thing. They're trying to push the international players. And a lot of people always look at me, say that I'm crazy when I say the league was changed for the international players. We always had international players that was good. None of them were ever great in our league because we had the greatest players ever. They couldn't adapt to most of them didn't have the physicality. Most of them didn't have the skill. That's just me keeping it a C note. Just look at when the rule changes came into effect. Just look how the game changed. First of all, I always say again, Dream Team, Michael Jordan, he made the game global. But when the NBA got a taste of that China money, when Yao Ming came into the league and everybody from China was tuned in and they had Dirk already there, and you got Germany locked in, you got a bunch of kids from Canada, and like this is what they were pushing the game to be. But those guys kind of not saying they struggled, but they didn't have good first couple years. So I seen when JJ Redick was going back and forth when Dominique said something replying to him. And we played back then. It don't matter what level you played on. Hand checking is a major factor. When they took that away, just look at everything that just happened in the NBA. The NBA, today's game, a lot of people say is predicated off of what the Phoenix Suns started with Steve Nash. That year, D'Antoni he took over the year before Nash got there, but he was from overseas. So when Nash and them came over there, they played the overseas offense, so that helped the league. Not only did that, the hand checking went away. Just look at Steve Nash numbers, right? The first year that the rules changed, Steve Nash won back-to-back MVPs. And then Dirk Nowitzki won MVP. He had like 9 years in already. The rule changes, whether people see it or not, the rule changes was so the international players could come over. The more people we got looking from everywhere, we're going to draw everybody in. And that's just me keeping it a C note. I seen the thing on Lenny Cook when Lenny Cook was saying that next year draft where he came out, it was really the influx of the international players. Why? Because it was the year after Yao Ming got drafted. Once the NBA seen, come on, man, we're going to push for these guys to come over. We're going to make it easier for them to play. As far as the MVP go, what you saying this year, Joker, even though he's averaging a triple-double, I don't think he's the MVP. That's just me keeping it a casino. He was more of the MVP last year when he didn't have none of them guys and he carried those guys. But to Kendrick Perkins' point, because which one is it? Is it the best player on the best team or is it the guy most valuable? Because last year, Denver wasn't the best team in the NBA and he won MVP. And he won it on the strength that he was missing guys. This year, they have one of the best records. He's averaging a triple-double, and you're saying that he should win it for a third straight time. The first year, Jamal Murray and them was all hooping too. So I'm saying they are changing the goalposts. To me, it's not black and white. It's more international friendly. And just look at the story with it, right? We look at the international players. They are the best players in the league right now. Just look at them. Most skilled player, that would be Joel Embiid probably. Most aggressive, the kill out of the bunch, Giannis. The arrogant younger one that all the kids love because he can do everything is Luka. And then you got Jokic, the kid that was fat as a kid. No disrespect. I'm saying that respectfully. Grew up. He's from over there. Slovenia, wherever he's from. He grew up from this chubby kid to become a kid that averages a triple-double in the NBA. Which one is the more story? Which one is going to inspire more? We're always going to have dominant player. You just made every little chubby kid right now think that they can go to the NBA and be a point guard. I'm just keeping it a casino. The game is already, once you took the hand checking out, you took the big men out the game. Can you imagine if they had no hand checking when Shaq played? Good golly, Miss Molly. He would have destroyed the league. That extra no arm in the back? Come on, man. So you look at it from the earlier years, though, what I'm saying, one last thing, Ginobili, Nowitzki, Yao Ming, they was just pulling all the foreign players in. They tried to get Darko in, but he was a dud. But nobody's seen this has been a whole movie for a couple of, since the beginning of 2002, when Yao Ming got drafted. Once China seen, look at this back with the All-Star voting. How many people was voting from China was voting him starting center? NBA never seen that type of paper. And it took Yao Ming until the rule changes. Look it up, all the guys that I said. Dirk Nowitzki, he was in the league with Paul Pierce. Paul Pierce came in getting busy. Dirk Nowitzki didn't start. His highest scoring season may have been the year or the year after the rule changed. But them first 2 years, he was balling out of control. Nash was balling out of control. Back-to-back MVPs. Now look at the league years later. It's all Canadian and international players. And you got a couple Americans. This is a year Jason Tatum deserved MVP. He hooping. Jaylen Brown had missed enough games. You see what I'm saying? So to me, it's an international thing. I don't think Joker, again, is the MVP this year, but he is averaging a triple-double. Russ won it when he averaged a triple-double that 1 year. But just because you average it, Russ averaged a triple-double multiple years. You don't have to be the MVP. You see what I'm saying? He's averaging a triple-double now, but what went up from last year? What, 1 or 2 assists? Like, you got to be kidding me, man. He got his top scorer back, his top 2 scorers back. Come on, man. But what's your thoughts on it, people? Should the Joker be the MVP because he's averaging a triple-double? Because they're one of the top seeds in the NBA? Keep it a C-note. Who do you agree with? Do you agree with Kendrick Perkins? Do you agree with J.J. Redick? Keep it a C-note. Are people in the NBA stat chasing? Let us know. Keep it a C-note. And is it a racial thing? Are they moving the goalposts for guys like the Joker, Steve Nash, Dirk Nowitzki? Keep it a C-note. Shout out Paul George. I seen him recently on JJ Redick podcast. He had some interesting things to say. He said, basically paraphrasing, but don't quote me. He said that the NBA, they hurting players basically when they took out all the practices, when they took away, you don't play as many back-to-back games. No more 3 games in 4 nights and no more 4 games in 5 nights. So basically, you're not really playing back-to-back. And he said he thinks that plus the load management is what's causing more injuries. Keep it a C-note. Is the NBA's new routine no 3 games in 4 nights, letting people load manage, is that causing more injuries? Do you think that's the case? Let us know. I would agree partially with him. But that's just my thoughts. I did see that I was watching the Sixers. They were playing Minnesota, and it was their 65th game of the year. And it was only their 10th back-to-back game of the year. And it was just like mind-boggling. And I text John and I text Vito and asked them what they thought about it. And they was like, John was like, yeah, that's crazy. But my thing is this, and I'm going to keep it a C-note like I always do. There's always a lot of talk, especially with J.J. Redick. Shout out J.J. Redick. J.J. Redick has become more known for saying goofy stuff out his mouth than he was known for in the NBA. I mean, he was here at Duke, right? Celebrity status was here at Duke, came down to here in the NBA, right? And now he's probably more of a celeb now than when he was in Duke for some of the goofy stuff that he says out his mouth. But my thing is this, right? That's why I say these guys couldn't play back then. Even with load management, these guys are getting hurt. Even with load management, these guys are missing multiple games and stuff like that. So, to me, I think it's just a joke. You know what I mean? If you think somebody, when the game was more physical, can play 4 games in 5 nights, these guys only playing 10, 11 back-to-backs a year. They not even practicing like that, and they can't stay healthy. And you going to tell me that they will hold that back then? Like, come on, man, you got to be kidding me. Knock it off, would you? But I finally figured it out. Again, I want to shout out J.J. Redick. I want to shout out a guy like Gilbert Arenas. I want to shout out a guy like Draymond Green because I finally figured it out. I figured out why they be hating on 80s and 90s basketball. And that's because they couldn't have played in the 80s and the 90s. Let's keep it a C-note. J.J. Redick can only run off of screens and catch and shoot. That's it. He can't dribble. He's only 6'2", 6'3". He can't defend anybody. What other good thing does J.J. Redick do on a basketball team? J.J. Redick is one of them guys where you got to hope he's hitting the come on, man. You got to be kidding me. You got to be kidding me. J.J. Redick would not have made it in the 80s or the 90s. They would have put him in the post every time. You got to be kidding me, man. You already know how I feel about Draymond. Pause. Draymond wouldn't have made it in the 80s or the 90s because he's a bum. He's a bum. My whole thing is like this. It's like if the NBA is like the yard. You got like one or two bullies in the NBA. Everybody was bullies. Everybody's been up here. Sheed, Vito, a lot of them guys, they like Draymond Green because he's an enforcer. But every team had an enforcer back then. Every team had 2, 3 enforcers. And Draymond ain't really an enforcer. He's bullying guys that don't want no trouble in this league. You see what I'm saying? He couldn't have pulled that back. One of them, Oakley or one of them dudes that we be talking about as bums, they would have hauled off and slapped Draymond one time. It would have been over. But even with all that said, dudes like Draymond wouldn't make the league back then. Gilbert Arenas is one of them guys, and you can look it up. Gilbert Arenas is one of them guys that I think he's better. He's a 6'3". I don't even know how tall Gilbert Arenas is, right? But he's bunched in the era where you got Kobe, you got T-Mac in his prime, you got Jason Kidd when he was bored, you got Vince Sanity, and he doesn't get mentioned. He's not mentioned with none of the elites. Like, you got to be like, oh, yeah, Gilbert was. Remember, nobody just brings Gilbert up as a bull from back then. He's one of them guys that didn't really have no position, pause. And when you look it up, look at his numbers. When did he have them breakout years? Year 1 and year 2 after the rule change. Man, these guys are fugazi. Don't let these guys gas you up, man. Gilbert Arenas gets more looks for goofy stuff. He got all the looks back in the NBA back then over the gun stuff. Now he gets way more looks just because he says outlandish stuff. But he knows he couldn't play in those eras that he talk about. Look what he said. He said his first year, he don't know why he was scared of Stockton. A Stockton that had 20 years in. Like, come on, man. He couldn't handle Stockton 10, 11 years into his career. He wouldn't have made it back then. That guy benefited from the rule change as well. Look it up. It will be on the screen. 04-05 season. 04-05 season is the first season with all the hand checking taken off. Look at Steve Nash's numbers. Look how they jumped. It's on the screen. Look at Dirk Nowitzki numbers. You see it? Let's pull up Gilbert Arenas numbers. Look at him. Look at him. These guys are made up guys, man. These guys is from the rule changes. You blind if you don't see it. They couldn't play in the 80s and 90s. J.J. Redick definitely couldn't play in the 80s and 90s. Draymond neither. If you saying Draymond's best talent is being an enforcer, he couldn't play back then. And give Steve Kerr credit because when they played Draymond Green as a traditional forward, when Mark Jackson was playing him as a traditional forward, he wasn't even talked about. He was a nobody. He was just a dude that played defense. He wasn't even starting. He became a factor because Kerr put the ball in his hands. Okay, you can pass a little bit. European style. That's not the power forward banging it, pause in the 80s and 90s. He wouldn't have been able to adapt to that. Come on, man. Y'all got to be kidding me. Shit. This is what I'm feeling like. Da, 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 da. Let me tell you what I'm feeling like. Da, da, da.